Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the WPS podcast. That is Why People Suck. I'm Celia, and I'm joined by my co host, best friend, and sister, Alejandra.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be back for another episode where we call out all the ways people are super annoying and talk about what we can actually do about it. We say it so you don't have to. In today's episode, we're going to kick off our new generational series, and we're kicking it off by talking about why boomers suck. I feel like boomers are definitely the generation that I like to hate on the most because yeah, same. Our generation, millennials, have been directly impacted by everything that they've done, and I feel personally victimized by them. So I feel like it's easy for me to hate on them.
Yeah, agreed. I think the same thing. And yeah, I think probably all other generations might feel the same. I know that Gen Zs were like so close in age with them. They feel the same, and I feel like Gen X is like this random group of people that just lives under a rock or something. I never hear anything good or bad about them. What about you?
Yeah, I don't really hear a whole lot about any of the other generations except boomers and millennials, but I feel like it's because maybe there's more of us. And because we're the older generations now, older, we kind of we make more of the rules. Like we've been in the workforce for a long time. We have, we're like technically higher up than all the other generations. And so I think that's probably why we hear more about them or about us by millennials and boomers. But I think boomers for sure get the most hate of all of the generations.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into why that is, because I think there are some pretty good reasons. It's not all just made up. What do you think?
Oh no, I think it's 100% true. Listen, if you were able to buy a house for like less than $100,000 and you're sitting on that house still 30 years later and you're refusing to downsize, like you should be downsizing right now. You should be going to a smaller house and giving the next generation up your big house that you don't need, that you're just hoarding on to because you bought it for $5. Or here's the other thing that's really annoying. Boomers that bought their house for $5 are now the ones that are actually like, "Yes, I will downsize." They're turning that house around and trying to sell it for like $1,000,000. This is happening in my neighborhood. I have seen it because when a house goes for sale, I always look up what it's gonna be selling for, or like what the asking price is, and then you can always look to see who bought that house, when they bought it, how much they bought it for. And oh my gosh, it makes me so mad when I see somebody that bought a house for like $80,000 in like 1985 and they're turning around and trying to sell it for $800,000, which is not a made up number. This is an actual house just down the block from me. That is exactly what they're trying to sell it for. It is a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom house. It is not a huge house. Are you kidding me? You bought it for $80,000. You've had that house paid off for years. You probably only had one person in your family working. And then you still had like this beautiful house in a really great neighborhood. It just makes me so mad. And then they turn around and they call us lazy. They said we don't work hard enough. That's the thing that really gets under my skin. I'm gonna let you talk now because I could just keep going.
No, totally. And going back to the very first thing you said, I was going to say the same. It's just boomers. They just don't have an understanding of what is going on in today's world with regards to the cost of living crisis. This that you're saying with the homes is ridiculous. Absolutely. And not just that, like that they would go ahead and sell that house, but I also think it's ridiculous that they're using properties as investments and then they just never let go of them. They can afford to buy and buy and buy and then rent it out for super expensive as well, not just sell them. But it's that, like, they were able to buy these homes for way cheaper. Like you said, they maybe only needed one salary. Actually, that's definitely true. They only needed like one salary. One person could stay at home. They could have as many kids as they wanted. That's another thing where people are like, "When are you having kids?" And I'm like, "Are you going to give me the money for their preschool and their school and all their stuff?" Like you can't. The older generations love to also say that too, and it's like, you really don't get how expensive life is. You really don't. I had this one story that my neighbor told me the other day where her in-laws took them out to eat, and, like, they're millionaires,
Mhm.
right? And they go out to this restaurant, and there one of them was like, "I thought there was a cost of living crisis. Like, why are there so many people out eating?" And she was like, "I just lost it there because I was so annoyed at the fact," she said, "that they're like, 1 meal is gonna make a difference in you being able to afford a house or put a down payment or your rent. Like, saving 20 pounds is not going to make a difference. It's like what they say with, like, "Don't buy that coffee. Don't go on that holiday,"
Yeah.
as if that's gonna help me save for a house. It's not. You don't understand how expensive stuff is and how the salaries are not enough to adjust for inflation. It's ridiculous. Stuff just keeps going up. Salaries are not catching up, and there's stats for this. I actually even got some because I need to share these, but I've been talking for a while, so I'm gonna hand it back to you. Clearly,
Well,
you can see we're very passionate about this specific thing about boomers.
yeah, absolutely. No, that's so true what you said. Like so many of the financial books that I've read actually about like saving for the future and all this stuff and just like saving for your first house, whatever. They all say like you not buying the one latte isn't going to make or break you. Like that's not the problem at all. Like you are allowed to go have a coffee. You're allowed to go have dinner. That's not going to be the difference between you being able to afford a house and not being able to afford a house. That's ridiculous to even say that to people and be like, "Well, you shouldn't be eating out." Well, okay, am I just supposed to live under a rock
Yeah.
for the rest of my life and eat beans out of a can so that I can afford a house in 20 years? Like, that's also not gonna make a difference.
No,
Like, at least let me live a little and stop being so condescending
exactly.
and overly
Yeah.
critical of everything.
Yeah, and I just wanna share then some of those stats specifically about the housing market. Like, so in the UK, housing prices have shot up more than 400% from 1990 to today. So back then, a house was like 53K, and now the average is like 270K, but that's like in some backwards like town that I would not want to live in. Like obviously London is way
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
But just can you see, like, that difference? And then I also looked it up in the US, and it says the median price for a new home has moved from roughly $160,000 from, like, the year 2000 up to 403,000 now. That's
That's
insane.
crazy. I don't and the thing is, the really sad thing about the housing market is that a lot of people are house poor. Have you heard about this being house poor? Yeah, where
Yes.
people
But go ahead
like,
and
I
tell
have an
us.
example of one of our neighbors. They bought a house a couple of years ago when the housing market was just really rough. And he's a firefighter, she's a teacher. They don't make that much money. Like they make it's fine, but they bought that house for $855,000, I believe is what it was on the market for. I'm pretty sure that's what they ended up paying for it. And
Mhm.
the interest rate at the time was like 7%, which is outrageous. I mean, it's so much money. I just can't even imagine. But the thing is, they needed a house. And it's like, what are you going to do? Keep renting an exorbitant amount of money? You're paying so much money to rent and you don't even get to own it. So it was just like, they had to jump ship basically and just be like, "We need to just buy a house." They have kids. They can't be living in an apartment that's not A, big enough, and B, just continuing to throw money out the window because, like, they're never gonna own anything if they continue to do that. So then they just went and they bought this house, and I'm like, you might be able to sell it for that, but the interest rate, like, what you've accrued in interest in the past few years, like, I don't you probably owe way more than you even have put into it at this point, right?
Yeah, no, that's so interesting, this point that you bring up, because one of the so I think you recommended this book to me. the one written by Ramit Sethi, which is like, "I'll teach you how to be rich" or something. I
Yeah.
like his philosophy that he's like, "Oh, I rent. Like, I am a millionaire, but I still rent because to me, that's more affordable. Like, I just invest the rest of my money." Because you don't think about all these extra
Yeah.
things, right? The interest that you're accruing, like, you really need to understand all the extra costs that come with owning a home,
Mhm. Yeah.
but it does suck that there are all these, I guess, barriers to being a homeowner because of the expense of it all, and all these greedy people who are doing what you said, like, in your neighborhood from 85,000 to 800,000, that's actually criminal. That's
Oh, yeah.
criminal.
I know, and it's like, I don't even know what you're paying for. We don't live like we don't have, like, oceanfront property. We're nowhere near the ocean, in fact. Like, that's to me, I'm like, it would be worth it if it was somewhere by water or by mountains or something. It's like, we're in the city. That's
Mhm.
not worth almost $1,000,000 to me, personally.
Yeah, yeah, and across cities where you see these homes that are like $1,000,000 and they look like shacks. I don't know, like in Miami or New York or
Yeah.
London. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Like Hawaii, I know that like, we have friends that live in Hawaii, and they've been trying to find a house, and their budget was like 1,300,000, and to get a house for $1,300,000, it's like literally a shack. You live in Hawaii though, which is like, you live on the beach, you have a nice life, it's all green and,
Yeah.
but that's kind of the same point as like living in a awesome place, you're gonna end up with a shack even though you're paying $1,500,000.
It's so true. But then, like, moving on to other things that will have to do with how boomers just don't get the cost of living crisis is that they, like you said, they think we're lazy, that we're not working enough. But it's like the wages, even if you are making a good amount of money, like, I don't know, 100,000 sounds good. But if you then start thinking about what rent costs, what the grocery store costs, what gas price, I mean, gas prices have gone up. Like, I have a stat for this too, because I was like, this would be interesting to
Yeah.
compare. Like, in 1990, for you to fill up your gas tank in the UK was like £23, and now it's like £78
Whoa.
for, so that's like a 236%
Yeah.
increase. And then in the US, I saw that like back in 2000, it was like $1.30 and now it's like $4 a
Yeah, I
gallon.
when I started driving in the US after I graduated from college, which was like 2008, 2008, I filled up my tank and it was like 250 a gallon, I think, something like that. I don't remember how much it was to
Mhm.
fill it up, but 250 a gallon, and yeah, I got gas the other day and it was almost $4. It's just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it just keeps going up.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And the thing is it goes up and it doesn't ever come back
And then
down.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's the same like when you buy stuff at the grocery store, like, it's so expensive and your rent is so expensive. Like, I remember you said that when you lived in, like, a one-bedroom apartment, you were paying, like, $500, and then by the time I was graduating college, mine was 1,000. So, like, it had gone up
Double, yeah.
already. Yeah, that was it was in a different city, but I mean, I was in Houston, you were in Austin, but I feel like Austin is cooler, so why was I at 1,000? But,
Yeah.
this is the point where it's, like, so ridiculously expensive, like, you're making money, but everything is going to bills, so where are you gonna save? How are you gonna invest? And boomers just don't get it, and then they call us lazy,
Oh,
and that's one thing that I brought up last time for the one that we were talking about the job market. And it's like there are no jobs. We want to work,
mhm.
but we also don't wanna work for pennies because then I literally cannot afford to eat. I'm gonna be homeless, starving. Is that what you want? Like, the people who own these companies and who are in charge of giving raises, like, they don't get it. They're so greedy. These boomers are just keeping everyone poor.
It's
Now
true.
I'm really
Like,
ranting.
No, but no, but, like, the going back to the rent thing too, like, okay, so they bought a bunch of properties, right? And they bought them whenever for $80,000, and now they're paid off, and now they turn around and they rent these houses for a ridiculous amount of money. Like, they also have this in our neighborhood where, like, one of the houses across the street is it's a rental, and they paid that house off probably forever ago because they bought it, like, in 2000, I think. 'Cause I looked it up, of course, and I'm sure that they've already paid for it, and the
Yeah.
rent what they're asking for rent for that house is more than what I pay in my mortgage, which is crazy,
Wow.
and these people pay for it. It is always occupied. They don't have any problem finding people,
Yeah.
and then the other thing, the cost of daycare, which, first of all, was probably not even really a thing because back then in the '80s when they were having kids, '80s and '90s, they only needed one person to work, so they didn't even have to have daycare cost. And now we need to have daycare because we both have to work so that we can afford things, and the cost of daycare is more than my mortgage. So
Wow.
we have 2 mortgages right now.
It's ridiculous, yeah. And with the salary stuff, I also have stats for that I wanna
I
share.
love all the stats.
You know why? Because I was like, I know we're gonna complain about boomers, but I wanna have the
The
receipts to
fact
prove to you,
facts, yeah.
yeah, why we are so angry, us younger generations with you guys boomers, if there's any boomers listening. Look, I don't
I don't
wanna be
listen to
mad at you.
podcasts.
I want us to be friends, but then you need to understand what the situation is.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the UK, it says that from 1990 to today, like the average salary has risen by like from 15,000 to 40,000, which sounds like a lot, but with inflation, that means your purchasing power is only about 10 to 15% more.
Yeah.
And then in the US, it's pretty similar. It says that the wages have jumped 70 to 80% over the last 26 years, but when adjusted to inflation, it's only about 10 to 20% more in purchasing power. So, what are we even accomplishing here?
Yeah, and everything costs, like, 50% more. So, you're not making
Yeah.
more at all. In fact, you're underpaying people.
Totally. And like you said, like now in a household, both people have to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, that it's not possible for just one person to work. And then the other thing with the jobs too is, like, that we were saying, like, we're not lazy, we wanna work and, like, but we also know our worth, like, we're not gonna just get any job that pays you nothing, like, I know what I'm worth, I know what my skill sets are, I know what I can bring to the table, and I'm not gonna allow you to underpay me, like, I'm not lazy, I know my worth. There's a
Yeah.
big difference.
And with that, yeah, and with that, that actually also makes me think of another thing, is like back in the day, they may not have gone to college and they could find a job and get a decent salary and keep getting those raises, those bonuses. But no, now we're like the most educated of generations and we're just not seeing the benefits of that. And then the cost of education too, that's gone
Yeah,
way up. I mean, going to college nowadays is, oh my goodness,
ridiculous. Yeah, I was
ridiculous.
gonna say back when they went to college, if they did go to college, that was like going to, like, get your PhD. That's like the equivalent of that now, right? But what if they did do that, it costs like what, like $1,000, if that, a year? Now you go to college, you end up with
Mm.
so much debt that I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, on top of, like, being house poor, now you're also having to pay for student loans. Like, most people that I know have student loans. Like, I don't know a single person that didn't well, I know some people. They were very lucky. But most people had to have student loans because it's so much money to go to college. But you can't not go to college now because if you don't go to college, you don't get a good job. And nowadays, all the jobs are like entry level, but you need 10 years of experience. What? Make that make sense.
Totally. Even today, I was like, looking at some job adverts and it was like entry level, and then it's like must have 2 years of experience or an incredibly amazing portfolio. And it's like, from where is this person going to get a portfolio if they don't have any work to do? Yeah, they could put their student work, but I
Right.
just, it's ridiculous.
And I'm sure the pay was a joke.
They actually didn't even put the pay on there, which I'm like,
Red flag.
okay, when they do that, yeah. I hate when they ask you, like, what's your salary expectation? Like $1 billion trillion, dude.
Yeah.
How is this a question? Like, it's because they want to lowball you.
Yeah.
Because obviously they know that that's the best way to do
Mhm.
it, which is so cruel.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
cruel.
Yep. 100%.
And then another thing with the job market thing is that boomers complain about people moving jobs so quickly, right? Like, that's one of the things I hear them complain about, and it's like, well, it's not like back in the day you could work somewhere for 40 years and the company was loyal to you. No, they're laying people off left and right. You pick up the newspaper, another layoff in a big company, like another economic recession. Like, the times are just so volatile. And we can't be loyal to a company that's not loyal to us.
Absolutely.
And also, like, they're not even giving raises that are even keeping up with inflation. So the best way for you to get a better salary is to job hunt
Yeah.
and job hop.
Exactly, and that's actually a very common thing is people, if they don't get a raise at their job, they will leave. That's why you see people leaving every year, year and a half because
Yeah.
they're not getting a big enough raise and they need more money because the cost of living is going up a lot every single year.
Yeah, no, it's so annoying. And I also find it annoying if I talk to certain boomers. I feel like thankfully our parents have become educated with us.
Yeah.
But when I talk to other boomers about how difficult it is to find a job, because as I said, like, I want another job and I've been searching, and so many of my friends are the same. But when you talk to boomers, they're like, why can't you just like send your resume and get another job? Like, why is it taking so long? They just don't get it. And it's so frustrating, which brings me to another point actually, is that they don't understand mental health either.
Oh,
Cuz like one of the reasons why I want to change jobs is cuz I want a better
yeah.
environment. And they're like, "Well, toughen up." And it's like,
Oh, no,
"No."
mental health is
It's
not
like a terrible,
to them at all. They're like, "Virus,
yeah,
just just deal with it." Yeah. No, you don't have to.
yeah.
You don't have to live like that.
Hmm. That's the thing, and they don't get it.
Nope.
I wonder how many boomers have been to therapy. I would love to get that percentage. Like, they don't believe in it. They think it's just for crazy people. And it's like, no, we all need therapy because life is
Oh.
hard and we all have stuff to talk about, especially you boomers.
I like to see how many, boomers are therapists also. Like, that
Mhm.
would be interesting to know. Be like, "I know you don't believe in therapy, but you're a therapist."
Yeah, just the cool ones,
Yeah, maybe
maybe.
so.
I envision them being like the
Yes.
hippies that have remained
Yeah.
hippies. I like that vibe.
Yeah, I bet you're right. But, I mean, we talk a lot of hate about the boomers, but it's not every boomer, right? Like, there are some that are so cool, like, our parents have come around because 'cause they've learned from seeing us struggle and, like, and obviously, like, I have other boomers in my life and you have some in your life, but that are not that way. So it's not every boomer that's like this, but unfortunately, majority is, and that is the problem.
Yeah, totally. No, not to be ageist or
No.
anything. It's just really the annoying behaviors that some of them or the majority of them
Yeah.
display. But it's just I what I want to see from their generation is more empathy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is, I guess they grew up thinking that being that way, empathetic, is a weakness.
Mhm.
Obviously, they thought that going to therapy was a weakness, and I feel bad for them for that. but not
Oh.
bad enough to not complain about how terrible they are.
Yeah.
One last thing I was just remembering now about boomers. I find it so funny that they complain about technology. Like, they're always like, everybody's always on their phone. And actually, they're always on their
Oh,
phone,
yeah.
always texting, looking at videos, Facebook, whatever. And it's like, they used to be like, oh, people get so addicted to these things. Okay, now they're the ones who are addicted, the
Yeah.
most addicted. When you talk to your parents, I've seen so many memes about this where people are like, "Oh, I took a week off to spend time with my dad, and he's just been on his phone all week." And it's like, I feel
Yeah.
like we can all relate.
Yes, absolutely. But the funny thing too is that they don't understand how AI is not letting our resumes get through. For example, where they're like, "Just send your resume." And it's like, remember that thing called technology that has now created AI that is now costing us jobs because it'll just straight up reject you?
Mhm.
Yes.
No,
We
they
can't just
don't
send our
see
resume.
the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess actually one more thing that I thought of is that some boomers, I feel like they're really harsh with the way they talk about people in the spirit of being honest. Like, I don't know, they'll be so judgmental.
Mhm.
For example, people with tattoos, why is there still this
Yeah.
stigma against people with tattoos? Or I don't know, any other thing that they don't like about their physical appearance, they'll have to
Yeah.
say something and it's like, you don't have to be mean, you know?
Yeah.
You can also keep some thoughts to yourself.
Yeah, you also don't have to like everything. That's not how the world works. Like, if you don't like that somebody has 57 piercings, okay, then don't get 57 piercings. You don't have to do it.
Totally. Man, this has felt cathartic.
Yeah, I know. I feel so much better. I feel seen by you and hopefully our listeners.
Yeah, we want to know from our listeners, what did you think of everything we talked about? Did we leave things out? Do you have any stories you want to share with us? We'd love to hear. I hope that most of all, yeah, that people felt seen. And if you're a boomer, it's not to be hating on you. It's again, we just want to bring attention to the things that might be changed
Yeah.
or certainly should be changed so that we can all get along better.
And stop calling us lazy. We're not lazy.
Yeah, we aren't. You just don't get the harsh realities of today.
Yes.
Now we want to hear from you, listeners. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the WPS podcast. Remember to like and comment on our posts and follow us at the WPS podcast. We're on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. We want to hear from you. And please join us next time because we're going to be talking about Gen X
Yeah.
as we go through our series. We said it, so you didn't have to. We'll see you next time.
Bye.